Oi, you. It's time for another episode of Dorothy and the Dealer. Let's tune into the conversation.
Challenge coming up with a song every single time.
I know, fuck. It's like I'm not a bleeding jukebox.
You are.
Do you know what I mean?
Go on, pick a song.
I don't know. I can't. I honestly can't.
Do you know what I keep thinking right now, but I don't know if we've used it before?
What?
We don't need no
education.
Oh, jeez.
I think it's
We don't. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I know the tune, don't know the words.
Teacher, leave those kids alone. Boom. Hey,
Teacher, leave those kids alone.
Anyway, it's a great song.
It is a good song. How's your hand going? I mean, look at this situation. What's going on here?
You know what? I'm fucking sick of talking about my
I know, but it's doing really well.
Are you
And-
doing really well?
Well, it is doing well. Yeah, it is.
It is.
And what was I going to say? I suppose people know that you went in and had another surgery on that hand. That's why
Yeah.
you've still got the doosmy wacky thing.
Yeah, it's just
going
when I'm
on
sitting
with
here, I can keep moving it so I can keep it
it.
bent.
Well, it's definitely got more movement in it than it used
Definitely,
to
yeah,
have, right? Before
definitely.
you had the second surgery
yeah.
to remove the plates and stuff.
It's about the same from when I went in, but I can do things like close my fingers. I can get a hook and do all that sort of stuff.
And this one looks so good compared to
Yeah,
how it was.
comparison
Oh
to
my
how it was.
gosh, look at that.
yeah, it's
How
still not
exciting.
completely there, but it's a lot better.
Oh, that's good.
Thank God. I
So
love you.
let's not talk about hand then.
Oh fucking. Here's your hand. You just want to get it and fucking slap people.
That's so creepy.
Okay.
But what are we talking about today?
Well, we want to talk about artificial technology.
Artificial intelligence.
Oh my God, that just goes to show how much I know about it.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, how are we even going to talk about it when you don't even know how to use a remote? Literally.
Well,
How are we going to have this conversation?
I was going to leave the technical application to you.
No, it's fine.
The information.
We're talking generally about it. We're not like going into so much depth that
Yeah.
you're going to
We're not
demonstrate
going to go
your
into quantum
ignorance
computing
around
right now. Okay.
demonstrate your ignorance around how to actually
The use of
switch on a
wave functions in order
computer.
to be able to go from the infinite into the finite and compute and use technology to be able to equate things that would take us thousands of years, but we can do it in a split second, which is where the fuck we are and where we're heading. It's very exciting. I think it's actually very exciting.
You're so funny because whenever we're doing something, you go, plug that into AI like it's just a it's going to happen. I'm like, no,
Well,
you have to actually do some work because what you give it, it spits out at you.
Big shout out to Ben Newport. At Christmas time, he messaged me. He does it all the fucking time. He messaged me and he goes, "Hey, I have this. I've created a podcast." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh,
And
that's so creepy.
it's-
Oh my God, it was so creepy.
It was fucking crazy. And he sends me this podcast, and it's a podcast of a male and a female talking.
you and me.
No, it wasn't.
I know it wasn't you and me, but it was like,
male and a female talking, and it's like Dorothy and the Dealer, but it's AI, and it's based on all of the principles from STP.
well, it was one section. So he
sorry,
took
one
one section of STP,
Yeah.
plugged it into
Yeah.
the AI, and it created a whole podcast
based on that section.
of two people talking based on that section and all the things we plugged in. It was so creepy.
But it was actually fucking good. I was like, did we create that content?
Yeah, of course we did.
That's so good. Look at us fucking go. But it was cool because it just shows the potential. And then one of my clients, my personal clients yesterday, sent over to the staff. He's about to start an AI consulting business, and so I'm just helping him with that. And he sent over 8 images
Oh my
of me
God.
as
I showed Lexi.
as an Indian, someone who is Indian, me as a child,
You as the Joker.
me as the Joker.
You look like the president in one.
Oh
like-
yeah, me as Donald Trump. It was
And then there was one with you with your shirt off, and I showed Lexi all of them. She goes, "What is this?" And then I showed her that one. She goes, "Yeah, that's that. Who's he kidding?" Or something like that.
It doesn't look like that.
It doesn't look like that.
But very, very, very cool.
It's crazy, isn't it? What it can do.
Yeah.
But so I suppose the reason that we're talking about it is because a lot
it's
of
happening.
Well, it's happening, and I think, as with everything, you have to take on board what's happening in your environment. You can't be like delusional and say when on the onset of social media, when everybody was turning to social media, and then people are like, no, I'm going to just do things my way and not, they're going to be phased out because now people, whether it's a hairdresser, they're promoting themselves on social media. So it's kind of like, well, if you're not going to take that on, you're going to be left behind. Do you know what I mean? So AI is kind of the same sort of thing. It's like you can't be afraid of it because at the end of the day, it's happening. And so you might as well utilize it to your advantage and understand it and see what you can do to – I mean, it doesn't take away your humanity. It doesn't take away who you are in all of this, but you can still utilize the technology that's there.
Anytime over history that something is introduced to humanity, I don't mean to a person, but to humanity as a new sense of progress or a new step forward. Like when we had newspapers, it was like, oh my God, they're going to have newspapers and we're going to be able to, they're going to be able to, create propaganda and that. But propaganda had already been there. I mean, there was leaflet drops and all sorts of stuff that used to happen. Propaganda was already there. But when they put it into newspaper form, people were really terrified of it. Then when we went to wireless, it was the same thing. Oh my God, they're going to be able to listen to us and we're going to be able to listen to them and they're going to be able to infiltrate our signals and that. People were afraid of that too. When it came to television, and cinema, people were, every time something new has been introduced to humanity, it always, because it's new and it's not within our scope, people are always afraid of it. But now we couldn't live our lives without those things.
Well, it's like, I think it's DeMartini who says that some people label these, when progress happens or when things change and evolve, some people label it as positive, some people label it as negative, but the net is always zero. It always balances it out. Yeah. So some people label as positive, some negative, but it balances out. When social media come out, everyone, or even phones, everyone's like, kids are always on their phones. But then you see a picture from, 40 years ago and everyone was like heading in a newspaper. It's the same thing. It's just in a different form. Yeah. So,
but it's going to become so seamless that you're not going to be able to tell.
Right.
It's getting close. Like it's very, very close.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So for me, one of the things with AI, one of my things and my concepts and my understanding is that these things are not positive or negative, just like I've just said. It's just a thing. The more you're afraid of it, the more it's just going to anything that you're afraid of has control over you in some way. So you're going to have to succumb to it at some point. So having the fear around it is not conducive to actually moving forward. You've got to transform. So there's no point in bemoaning the fact that it's happening. You've got to figure out, okay, how can I either how do I play the game? How do I utilize it to my advantage? How can I make use of it? So I understand all of that, but there's certain things around AI that I think do not frighten me because I understand that it's a process, but I don't necessarily like the concept of for one example is that how it is now. You've just seen those images of you, and they're obviously not you. You can see. I think what's his name here? Very close, I'm sure, especially the one with the shirt off. Just give him a second. It was close. It was very close. Who was it? Greg put a picture up of himself and it was fully AI and everyone's like looking. I'm like, that's not you, Greg. Good on you, but it's not you. Anyway, so it's a bit of fun and and but I find that there's already stuff out there that I think people are mistaking. Like there's information that gets put out and people take it for the truth. Yeah. And that part of it kind of worries me a little bit because I'm like, we don't know. There's going to come a point where there's whole movies being created with AI at the moment. Yeah. There's, we don't know whether there's some people that can just totally transform. Like Joe Rogan is one of those people who gets used in lots of ads, right? And it's not him, it's AI. He's never said the thing. Another person who gets used like that is
what's her name? The Irish Genevieve? Fuck, she gets used all the time. The Irish woman, the woman who does natural medicines.
No, that's who I was thinking about. Her name's Barbara O'Neill.
Barbara O'Neill, yeah.
Genevieve is close. It was close. It's very close.
No.
It was very close. Barbara and Genevieve are very close. But that's who I was thinking about. She gets her voice gets utilized and her image gets utilized all the time to sell some product that she's never even heard of, right? So that part of it worries me a little bit because I feel like, and it's not really a worry, I suppose, but it's like some people are gullible. They don't understand that that's not a reality.
Yeah.
Some people take on board everything that they see and they're like, oh my God, Joe said that or Barbara said that or whatever.
Yeah.
So that part of it is like,
Barbara
okay,
said
how do we
this
navigate?
about this hemorrhoid cream, which actually comes from Temu, right? And they relabel it
100%.
and put it under Barbara, and now you're applying a
course.
Temu hemorrhoid cream. instead of-
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
That is
well,
what's
well, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
People are taking the
hemorrhoid cream.
the images and the audio and the video and creating something that's not reality.
Yep.
So that part
But
of
you
it,
can still pick it at the moment.
well, that's what I'm saying. At the
yeah,
moment,
but
you can,
but very
and
quickly.
well, I can, but there will be some people
Who
that
can't.
couldn't, and so. I don't know really, but part of me has that fear around, okay, I don't want to not be able to tell the difference between what's reality and what's just not. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really know personally how to navigate through that.
Yeah, but I think it's like that's always been there. You know, you've always had that. You've
I
always had
suppose.
people who, you know, you could listen to somebody imitating someone's voice and you wouldn't over the radio and you wouldn't fucking know. You know, people have done it with other people's information and their thoughts. Well, such and such said this, when in fact they fucking didn't. The media does that all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it takes it. So that sort of stuff is happening. It's just becoming more technical and more refined. But eventually,
suppose
one of the things people have to understand is the truth always prevails.
100%. I
you know
think
what I
that's a big point of this whole concept.
Yeah,
isn't it,
yeah,
for us?
yeah. But the other thing is that we, you know, it's progress and we need it, right? And you're always going to have a bit of conflict about anything that is
Oh, yeah.
that is pushing us forward. But
But do you think it needs to be not governed, but like
they've
there's-
no
there's-
control over it.
But that's my thought. That's my thoughts.
They have no
right?
control over it.
There is no control over it. So the truth about AI is that it's not truly artificial intelligence, right? In the sense of, you know, I mean, I've seen
It
videos.
relies on
The-
our.
The input that we
Data
as
input.
human intelligence have inputted into it.
So it's not conscious.
It's not conscious, yes.
So
correct.
that's important for people to understand. It relies on our input.
Right.
Now, in terms of our input, one of the things that is happening is that it understands survival. So because of that, it is using its own equations to make sure that it survives because it understands survival.
Right.
So anything that threatens it, it is working ways around, and the only way to do it is to unplug it. You just fucking got to unplug it. But it is working ways around to be able to make sure that it survives and it keeps.
How does
moving.
that work?
Well, we for example, I'm not fully across this. Okay,
I understand.
but what it's doing is that it is taking pieces of information to be able to make sure that it keeps
It doesn't die out.
It doesn't die out, and it keeps you engaged.
Right.
You understand? So here's another concept to understand. AI has always been there. Humans are just at a point in time in life where we are able to become conscious to the fact that it was always there.
Give me an example of AI has always been.
Information is just energy.
Got it.
We are learning as we grow and evolve to be able to tune into that energy, and we call it, hey, I've got a new way of understanding that information.
But then
AI is just part of that information. It's always been there. We are just becoming conscious to the fact that it was there.
yes, but
Now,
is
watch.
that not-
So watch. So we talked then about artificial intelligence, and then we talked then about robots. We talk about cyborgs, a robot and a cyborg. The minute you put glasses on, you are using technology to be able to enhance how you see.
Technology, yes.
So
yes.
you're automatically interfacing with technology.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
So perhaps consciousness, which wants to survive, is on a carbon level just jumping to another form, right, for the purpose of its survival. So perhaps consciousness itself is just hopping from one form to another carbonated form because it wants to continue to survive. And here's a cool way to look at it. So what is, so just think
Just
of it
need
like
to
this.
think about it, yeah.
So just because consciousness is an evolutionary process.
Got
doesn't
it.
go
I
backwards,
understand
just
that
right.
part. But we've already just said that AI isn't consciousness.
No, what I'm saying is that it's not conscious
It's
yet.
not conscious, yeah?
Right? It's not conscious yet. But consciousness is jumping to another carbonated form to be able to survive. And what if AI has always been there, what if we are actually AI, but we are an advanced form of AI? Yes? And what we're watching with robotics is the primitive phase that eventually turns into cells, molecules, and what makes up us, all the elements that makes us. Because all a cyborg is just elements. It's just atoms.
Yeah, get that.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, but we know that they're clunky, they're not as fast, and in some cases they are becoming faster, and they are becoming, they are becoming quicker, they are becoming more effective. We are able to use them better in surgeries. But what if we are actually an advanced version of the AI that we're seeing now? And then that consciousness mutates into just another silicon form, another carbonated silicon form of what we actually are. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I don't know whether I understand because
So we're ahead of it.
I understand that.
I'm just talking about a theory, right? We're ahead of it, and we're here, and we're watching it do this. But eventually, we are now that more advanced.
Okay, so where I'm getting stuck in that concept is the artificial part of it. If you're talking about just intelligence as a whole, right? Intelligence isn't confined to the human experience. It's not a intelligence is intelligence. It's information, like you've said.
So it's energy information.
Correct.
Right?
That's what intelligence. That's how I see intelligence. But we're talking about artificial intelligence, which my understanding of is not, like we said, is not conscious.
But it's only artificial because we are making it.
Yeah.
That's why it's artificial.
Because it's being created by us.
man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
But all it is just information becoming denser and turning into a particle, and we're using it to create something.
Yes.
So it's just information. That's all it is.
Yeah, I understand that.
The whole
so it's
thing-
information, whether it's artificial,
But
or
it's not conscious that it's
yes.
that it's not able to.
It's not conscious of itself.
It's not conscious of itself
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we are conscious of it. We're the ones that are making it.
Yeah.
So we are putting that energy into it.
Yeah.
Yep. And we are now progressing it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's not at a point yet where it can operate and make conscious choices without the input that we've put in.
Correct.
But listen to this, then just push it a little bit further. Neither are we.
What do you mean by that?
You needed input.
Mm-hmm.
You were a conglomerate of all the input of your
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But you're able to contemplate that, and you're able to make conscious choices, understand the ramifications of it. You're able to move quicker, faster. But eventually, that's where it's going. So therefore, is AI not just another part of us?
Well,
It's clunkier, right? It's clunkier, but it's just another part of us.
which, yes, I can see that because everything is us. Everything that we see, everything we experience, everything that is informed because of how we perceive it and how it takes form, right? How it takes form is because of how we perceive it. So, yes, I get that. But are you then saying that is going to become self-conscious? Or that you perceive, this is not where I thought this AI chat was going to go, by the way. I didn't think I was going to get a brain fart.
Okay, I know. But I'm saying
all good.
that at a later time in history, it already is there.
At a later time in history, it's already where?
AI has already been there.
Okay, so
We're just tuning into it now. Through progress, through
you're tuning into it.
evolution, we're tuning into something that was
Okay,
already
is that
at
what
the
you
present.
mean, that AI was already there? What does that mean to you?
But artificial intelligence was already there. We just hadn't found the
What does that mean?
I'll tell you. We just hadn't found the mechanisms to be able to hack into it, to be able to build it and understand it.
So that's just like saying the radio waves were
We're
always
already there.
We just, at some point, somebody discovered a
Right.
radio to be able to communicate
Right.
and connect, okay,
Absolutely.
and listen to the frequency
Yeah.
and be able to communicate on a different frequency.
So
So,
there's
you're basically saying the AI was always there.
Yeah, there's nothing new.
understood, because you can't. There's conservation is like you can't create without.
So, but the problem is at the moment is that people haven't embraced that, so they are separate from it, so they feel frightened.
Right. Yeah.
But when you understand that the AI is just you,
Right.
and when you embrace it and you understand that this is a natural part of what is occurring, and it's there to actually help, and it's just you, it's just the intelligence that you have the intelligence to be able to understand that intelligence and and tap into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always there.
Mm-hmm.
The energy in that sort of formation was always there. Why? Because energy is eternally conserved. It's omnipotent, and it's transient. It's always been there. Makes sense. But because we can't embrace its genius and we don't realize that we are it, and as we unify with it, we become more robot-like, and we're already doing that.
Robot-like? What do you mean?
Well,
by
they're
that?
going. You have to understand they've already wired a guy's brain. He can sit there and move a fucking mouse around the table and just through thought.
But that's not.
They've already interfaced the brain and the brain stem with neurotechnology that is artificial.
But then ultimately it's not artificial. If that's the case, what do you mean by artificial?
Well, it's
intelligence?
man-made.
Right.
So it's artificial. It's man-made.
Technology that has been made by man.
Is artificial.
Right.
It's artificial technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's made by man.
Okay, but the way I see that, my brain is just like
I'm
jumping around. No, it's okay, it's fine. The way I see that is that the energy or the it was tell me what he did again. He moved something.
Well, they have Neuralink has allowed the brain, and they have created these links within this guy's brain. And this guy now is interfacing with technology without having to move. His brain, just through thought.
Okay.
He is moving the mouse around the screen. He's making choices, opening up web pages. That's now happening.
Right.
We're already doing that.
I don't have a comment on that. I don't think I've got a comment on that
it's
because I don't know. It's made me think. I have to think about that a little bit further.
So, but then
in terms of that,
it's just a couple of things. First off, it's already been there.
I can understand that now.
We are just now starting to discover it, and because it's new to us, we're starting to see it. It's frightening. It's a bit like the Peruvian standing on on the
and seeing the ship and doesn't understand the ship.
And at first can't see the ship until somebody explains there's a ship there. Can you see it?
Yeah, because it hasn't consciously understood it or put it into. Yeah, I understand that. So, I mean, ultimately, it's the same thing though, because it doesn't matter what's happening out there. It's really about your own consciousness. It's really about your own awareness. It's really about your own growth. It's really about your own understanding of yourself. And once you have that, there is really nothing outside of you to be afraid of, in the sense of the progress that's going to be had, or whether you call it, again, a plus or a minus, it doesn't matter. It all equates out at the end. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So the transformation, it's not a plus, it's not a minus, it's just it comes out to net zero. But I suppose the thing that you have to be, I suppose, the most, like, even as you're speaking about that, it's like, okay, I haven't thought about it that deeply, or understood. Maybe I also haven't heard that it's. Have I heard? I don't know. If I have heard, it's probably gone out of my awareness about the fact that it's interfacing already with people being able to move things without, moving, and using thought to do it. But at the end of the day, none of it can happen independently of you and your consciousness. So your consciousness is still key, because it doesn't matter whether you've seen a fake, a deep fake video that's been created by AI, whether you're seeing Joe Rogan talking about something that he's not actually talked about.
Why do you keep mentioning him?
I don't know, because I know he's your little bromance buddy. You love him so much. And then whether it's, or Barbara O'Neill, because I love her too, whether it's somebody's used it to help them with, creating some copy or whatever it is, it doesn't negate you as a conscious being aware of itself and about you being able to use whatever is at your disposal. But the ultimate goal is still the same. It's that whole thing about knowing who you are, utilizing everything at your disposal to step up, to grow, to live, to whatever. It's all at the end of the day, nothing changes. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, a cool way for people, I think, to understand it, is to say, sitting here right now, this is all we have. This is it, right?
Mm.
There's nothing else other than this moment right here. And in this moment right here, no matter what else is happening, it is all you.
Mhm.
It's all
And nothing else.
nothing else.
Yeah.
It's all just you.
You're always interfacing with the technology around you, the energy around you,
Yeah.
everything around you.
Yeah. So how you choose to
Show up
move,
in that.
project forward into that
Broadcast.
and into that movie, what you call your screen, your reality, how you choose to broadcast into that is entirely up to you. But if we bring it all back to this moment, there's just you and just this moment and everything that's around you, and everything that's around you is just there to help you.